The biggest single reason is that the Liberals are going to bring change in now, because the other opposition, well, you say other opposition parties, let's be realistic here. There's, at the start of the campaign, there was only one other opposition party that had a legitimate chance of forming government. It now appears that that's less likely. But that other opposition party has adopted Stephen Harper's budget. All of the change that they seek to implement because of the limitations on Stephen Harper's budget is way down the road. So the single reason that I would offer is that the Liberal Party is prepared to run 3 modest deficits to deal with the urgent priorities now, including youth unemployment, including our infrastructure deficit. So that's the single biggest one. The other one that I would offer is generational change. There's only one party offering generational change, and that's Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Debt. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Some might argue that access to post-secondary education is the biggest single problem, but I think it's tied to debt. And how we're going to deal with it is we're going to invest $1.3 billion into creating 40,000 jobs for young people right away. We're going to double the amount of non-repayable money that's available. We're going to make it easier to pay back your student loan. But the single biggest thing really is that $1.3 billion into 40,000 student jobs. That's 13 times what the NDP is prepared to spend on this issue. And again, we can do it because we're not married to Stephen Harper's budget. We haven't committed to a balanced budget. We can invest in these things right now. 1 in 6 students didn't have a summer job last year. The unemployment rate among people under 24 is 3 times what it is the general population. We think that's an urgent problem to be dealt with now. And having a good summer job will go a long way towards keeping that debt level down, and that's the key. Liberals don't see the world in black and white. Liberals are pragmatic. The NDP wants you to be very, very afraid of the state. The Conservatives want you to be very, very afraid of the terrorists. Liberals were in power when the Twin Towers were smoldering after the attacks of 9/11 and introduced the first anti-terrorism act. We've been there, we've done that, we understand the balance that is necessary. The NDP message fits very well on a bumper sticker. It is, be afraid. The Tory message fits very well on a bumper sticker. It is, be afraid. Our message doesn't. It takes paragraphs, it involves shades of gray as opposed to black and white. But this is a complex problem that can't fit on a bumper sticker, requires a balanced approach. There are some things in C-51 that we like, there are some things in C-51 that we don't like. We will amend the bill to give us the protections that we need in terms of parliamentary oversight, sunset provisions, and review clauses, mandatory review clauses once we get into power. But our position on C-51, quite frankly, was a balanced, pragmatic, sophisticated approach, not one that was all about the soundbite. There have been and will be books written on this, but Canada is one of the principal authors of the responsibility to protect doctrine. And the responsibility to protect doctrine has been incorporated into the United Nations approach and our allies' approach. So my view is that we have to be consistent with the principles that we've helped develop. We have to work in concert with our international partners, but we only should be there after a thorough and open discussion and debate in Parliament to ensure that it's in Canada's best interests. None of those things exist at present. They will under a new government. an economy where everyone has hope, where everyone has a chance, and an economy where the middle class and those seeking to join it get a break. An economy where the wealthy pay their fair share and don't get a disproportionate share of the breaks. And an economy where government services are available and accessible, that government isn't run on a shoestring. An economy where there's investment in R&D, where there's a serious investment, a serious emphasis on the knowledge economy, so that young people can have a chance to stay in their communities and not be forced to go to different parts of the country because of the resource sector. So that's our vision is one of hope, it's one of optimism, it's one of opportunity, and it's one of less inequality. The development of the oil sands is important. It's important to our economy. We are of the firm belief that a strong economy and a healthy environment can and must go hand in hand. We have to end fossil fuel subsidies. We have to invest in clean tech. But it's unrealistic to say that we can shut down the oil sands. We do need to put a price on carbon, so the oil sands need to be developed at a responsible, environmentally sensitive pace and manner. And that's, so again, liberals aren't ideologues, we're pragmatists. And our response and our approach will be a pragmatic one. Abortion access is a difficult question because I talked earlier about people seeing the world in black and white. And when you talk about abortion on Prince Edward Island, there's no room for gray. Anyone I've talked to who has an opinion on this issue, you can never do enough to support their position. It's black and white. The Liberal Party has declared itself to be pro-choice. Any and all decisions that the Liberal Party of Canada, that a federal Liberal government takes, would be consistent with that. Healthcare, although it's partially federally funded, it's completely provincially delivered. There has to be respect, and there is respect in terms of the competencies and the jurisdictions. That will continue. That will have to continue. I don't see any other way that the federal government, the provincial government would be able to continue to get along if they didn't respect one another's jurisdictions. So I realize it's a difficult question to answer because you're asking what a federal government view would be of a provincial government responsibility. It would be that they respect their responsibility, bearing in mind that the Liberal Party is pro-choice. So to the extent that the federal government can influence something of provincial jurisdiction, the influence would be in favor of a pro-choice position.